I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Many of our viewers probably thought that we might not talk about it, but it's a very big elephant in the room that we must talk about it. The issue of the presidency at the Ugandan Football Federation. What's happening there?
For starters, the current FUFA president is Justus Mugisha in acting capacity, as we were told at the 1950 FUFA General Assembly in Adjumani. With the FUFA president, or you call it former immediate FUFA president that has stepped aside, it's something very rare that you come out to announce you're stepping aside. And not that you're resigning, no. And not that you're ending your term, no. Stepping aside and then assuring the country that we will be back in 2 months, pending investigations. That's what happened in Adjumani when FUFA president stood up in a General Assembly that started so well, depending on whatever was coming out, the player insurance with the AAR, then the plan to build the Cranes Hotel, said that national teams are housed there, and then comes the good news, as he described it. We have good news coming from FIFA. I'm trying to quote him. He started by saying that when a pope has issues, the Catholic Church will always protect him. Different cultural institutions will always protect their leaders. Unfortunately, in football, it's not the case. Whenever there is a problem, it's always the head that must be answerable. It's the same thing that has been happening. For the first time since 2017, the case has come back. Alan Sewanyana, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Machindye, and also the Sports Shadow Minister for Sports in the government of Uganda in the courts, reported a case on 30th May 2017 that the FUFA president, alongside with the FUFA as well, they sold the FIFA 2014 World Cup tickets illegally. For starters, every FA is given, that is affiliated to FIFA, is given tickets, a quota, to be sold to Ugandans or to their nationals. And if they don't buy them, you declare them returned. This is not something that happened. A certain American, I've forgotten the name, who was something, bought these tickets from FUFA, and surprisingly, all something kind of implicates the current presidency is the fact that Magogo admits this was something that we've been doing even before 2006 and 2010, but it was an anomaly that we never thought is an anomaly. Okay. If you say that, that means there is a case to answer. And
we did it, but we didn't know it was wrong.
We did it, but we didn't know it was wrong. Okay. Then FIFA comes up and says, step aside, we do the investigations. This was something that said by the FIFA president, that currently there are provisions in the FIFA that allow you to take a break as they do investigations. But
those provisions?
He never quoted any, but of course it's been happening. What FIFA does, they cannot investigate you thoroughly when you're still in office because they think maybe you can influence things. Remember, this is an ethics committee that is independent of FIFA, whether you're a friend of Infantino, Ahmed, or anyone. Such things will always come up. And he was told to step aside, going by his words. Now the question is, why was he told to step aside? That means there is a case to answer. Okay. 2, he confirmed their investigations. 3, he says this is something that was even being done by the previous regime, which he was part of. But they did it without knowledge that it's wrong. Okay. The question is, after 2 months, what next? Yeah. Because we've seen it happen. We've saw it with Karusha Bwaria. Yeah. He's never returned. Yeah. Ahmed currently is not the CAF president. Yeah. People may not know it, but he also did kind of asked for that, maybe step aside. You remember when he said FIFA must intervene, come take over CAF because we have issues here. It's what is happening. And you remember, you had left Kyle when we had that General Assembly, but a lot happened, including letting go of, was it Piniki Amaju? One of,
like Game of Thrones.
yeah, Game of Thrones kind of. Yeah, so this time around, we've had it with Michelle Platini, with Seb Blatter, and now it's not happening in the neighborhood, but at home. The biggest question is, will the FUFA president Magogo return after the 2 months? That's a question that I cannot answer now. 2, what happens if he's implicated? Because for starters, he says this was something that done without the knowledge of him. Of course, he said this is something that is done by the Secretariat. I've been following a Monitor story today. Dennis Rukambi, one of the FUFA lawyers, said this was something that was done by the Secretariat. The most shocking thing about this is the fact that they don't deny. FUFA does not deny being involved in such a scam. They just say we did it without knowing it was criminal. But we've seen, we know something about integrity, getting gifts and something like that. Because even currently, there are issues of the CAF president taking Muslim presidents for Humrah in Mecca. We saw what happened with the watches Blatter gave to the FIFA officials, and they had to return. The question is, does Magogo return? I don't know. What happens after 60 days? I'm not so sure. But one thing I'm sure, there is a case, because FUFA admitted there is a case. Does it take just one person? I'm not so sure, because he tries to say it was done even by the previous regime. Because he says, I came into office in 2013. The World Cup was in 2014. We did it in 2010. Do we go back to where it all started? I don't know. It's a big question that will be answered in the near future. But I've been trying to find opinions from lawyers and other people. Mwema was part of FUFA leadership during the Mulindwa regime before they fell out. He says, by the fact they tell you to step aside, you're already implicated, because this is an investigation that started in 2017. If in 2019 they are telling you, brother, step aside, which means there is something they've seen. And in the recording, all by you stepping out, you're saying, we admit it happened. But it happened even before this kind of saying, yes, I licked sugar, but not I alone. I did it with somebody. And 2, when you say, sometimes they say ignorance about the law is not defense. We wait to see what will happen, because for starters, the FUFA president has changed a lot in Ugandan football. That's to be sincere. The administration, women football, youth football, a lot has changed under him. If he doesn't return, shall we have steady progress or even improved progress? I'll give you a scenario. When Dr. Lawrence Mulinda was leaving, he did not go because of FIFA. No. I remember on a Sunday on a certain talk show on a radio, he said, I'm here to stay and I'm standing again. A week later, he says, I'm leaving the current stepping aside president, Magogo, into the chair. Is Magogo doing the same to Justice? Let's wait and see. By then, it was about the government. Remember, UPL, FSL. So there were reports that the government is going to bring their big arm. Remember the previous president before Mulindwa, that's Dennis Obua. He stayed in the chair, ended up in Luzira. Are we jumping something? Let's wait and see.